I never really get any time alone either. You know, and for the longer time person that I am, it can be a little stressful.
Yeah.
She doesn't really let me any time unless she's on the computer. Patience, right? Patience is the word of the day. Patience.
We're making French toast. H-I-S-C-I-A-M and F-I-C-H-I-S. Don't forget, like and subscribe. There's supposed to be a period. I fixed it, and I gotta fix.
Exactly. The C you need to fix. Your C is open and it's bigger than your E. Choosing patience when parenting an emotionally complex child. You can hear my daughter in the background. It is 12:30 almost, and we have been working this morning since maybe 8:30, and it's a challenge. I believe that my daughter is pretty much on the spectrum. I think she's a little bit Asperger's. The only reason that the psychologist has not given her that title is that there's one aspect of Asperger's that she doesn't fit, and that is having the inability to communicate or not seeking out communication. She loves to get attention and to talk to people, but everything else in her personality is Asperger's. And so she has obsessions. Her obsession is the computer and playing video games. But the reality is we've got to get through her work before I don't let her touch the computer until we finish her work. Well, then school day becomes about completing the work as quickly as she can, whether it's right or wrong, so that she can get to the computer. She's a smart girl. And so I've sat here for the last hour and listened to her have a tantrum about her math worksheet. This is the worksheet. Very basic. It is on fact families. She knows how to do fact families. We've been doing fact families since first grade. But, yeah. And so, patience. I woke up today and decided I was going to be patient. But my patience wore out, and I sent her upstairs. And I took away the computer. I basically said, you cannot touch the computer until 3 o'clock because it's Friday. So the goal was basically to get through her work. Whenever she finished the work, she could go to the computer. And the thought was that we were going to finish early. But the school, of course, decided that they were going to throw in an additional session this morning. She had to participate in that. And it threw things off. And then her tantrum just threw things off another hour. So, checking in, midday. But I just wanted to check in because God, give me strength. Anyway, I'll be back.
9 6 equals 15.
The truth of the matter is, being patient is not pleasant. having grown up in a military family, I didn't grow up with a patient environment. My mother often would rant and rage. If you weren't moving quick enough, if you didn't do things, bless her heart. And so that just sort of set me up, I think, for this needing to make it happen fast. And we parent the way that we were parented. And so I'm really working on just calming down and slowing down. I am a work in progress on this. What I have to realize and recognize and remember that I have to see the bigger picture, that I planted the seeds. My child came to me with a background of birth parents who had significant issues. And I'm planting the seeds to stability. I'm planting the seeds to a better life and opportunities for her. But it's not going to happen overnight. So I've planted that seed and it's in the soil, and I can't necessarily see the growth every day. I might see a little sprig here and there, but it's going to take patience on my part and not getting all caught up in the muck of the daily stresses as I do, but to just back up. And so this morning I really did. I just tried to back up and say, today's going to be a better day. No, it wasn't. And I can't even get caught up in that. It's like it was not a better day. It was probably one of the worst homeschooling days that we've had. It was tough, but I will say that my reaction to the breakdown and the ranting and the crying and the kicking and the was very different. It wasn't me who was doing that, it was her. It was different. I breathed in, I would breathe in and just sort of say, you have a choice. You have the choice to continue with this behavior and lose your privileges, and you hear her screaming now, but she's screaming because she's not on the computer, but she's watching television. And she's happy. That's a happy scream. But the choice is to, breathe in and stop this behavior and have a great rest of the day, or you can make around it. And she sort of went halfway, so she didn't lose everything. She didn't lose the computer and the television, but she lost the television. To be engaged, that I had to just be engaged in the moment, to not look at the bigger picture of I want to get done with this too. I have things that I want to do, but to just stop and say, okay, Paula, breathe. And to acknowledge, bigger than anything for me is for me to remember that though it sounds cliche, life is short. I've lost both of my parents. I lost my father 2 years ago, and I lost my mother in 2010, so 8 years ago. And my mom was my best friend. She was also my biggest critic, but she was my best friend in the world. And nobody knew me like her, and no one will ever support me like my mom did. But I lost both of them. She just dropped dead of a heart attack. She was there one day, and the next day she was gone. My father died of Alzheimer's. It's a little slower, but it was a hideous way for him to die. Someone who was a PhD, who, was just smart and huge personality, and a large guy, they used to call him Big John, who shriveled up to 138 pounds, and it was horrible. It was horrible. It makes me want to cry to even think about what happened, but the reality is that life really is short. And I can get bogged down in the day-to-day details and all the things that are going wrong, or I can look at the bigger picture and say, this kid's having a really hard time. But I know that down the path, with all of the persistence and the patience that I'm having with her, she's going to blossom. She's going to do well. She is smart. She's not perfect, but none of us are. None of us is perfect. I deal with my own things. I have had anxiety, dealt with anxiety since I was, as I recall, about the 8th grade. And there was no name for it. I would sweat, and now they call it hyperhidrosis. That is changing as I get older because my hormones are changing, so I don't sweat like I used to. But none of us is perfect. And so I'm just working with her in what her challenges are, believing that, when she hits her 20s, she will hit her stride and she'll be fine. I had a boss once who identified as Native American. And his mantra, he said it over and over and over again. I'd never heard it before, but I'd never heard it before. That was her up there. But, and my ears always, but he said, everything changes, everything is connected, pay attention. And honestly, I can draw lines between so many things that started here and then this happened and this happened. And why did I make that decision? And when I made that decision, this happened. But if I hadn't made it, this probably would have happened. Everything is connected. And a lot of the bad decisions and some of the things that I deal with today are a result of impatience. Me wanting it now. Me not being willing to go the course, to find a shortcut. Another thing that I've learned, there are no shortcuts. There are none. Part of why I adopted was that, and I have no regrets. My daughter, and I'll talk more about adoption. In fact, it's National Adoption Month, but I'll talk more about my daughter in another video. But part of why I adopted was because I found myself at a later age, but I didn't want to risk having a child who had issues. I was expecting perfection. And so I said, rather than risk having a child who has any issues, I'll adopt. Well, the reality is that even in adopting, my child has some issues. And so there are no shortcuts. There are no shortcuts. What life requires, I'm trying to learn. It requires patience. It requires a commitment, but patience. And reality that nothing is going to ever be perfect. So one of the things that I really am trying to work on is exhibiting patience in front of my child. I recognized something with myself the other day, and it was during one of her online classes. Every day she has an online class, Monday through Friday, and I get so impatient with the teachers and even the little kids. The teachers, I have a corporate background. Even when I taught middle school in Los Angeles as well. I taught life science, 7th grade, and I taught 8th grade math for a little while and physical science. And I would even look at the school environment and be like, these teachers would never survive in corporate America. They would be cut because, in certain corporate environments, there's precision, details, and just completion and professionalism is required. And I didn't see it. And I find myself, even now, in being a homeschooling mom, I'm challenged. And so I don't think I've been the best example for my daughter during her online schooling, because sometimes those teachers are going on and on and on, and they let the kids go on. And mind you, these are 2nd grade kids, and they're just happy. They're sitting at home in front of a computer, and they finally get to talk to someone, and they are talking. And I'm sitting there like, you shut the kid up. And my daughter sees that. So I definitely am a work in progress on this. I have got to get better. Got to get better. I've got to learn to be more patient, and I have to be patient for my own health. I have to be aware that stress, anxiety, and just, learning patience is so important. It's important for myself. It's important for my daughter, who also has anxiety. And so this is huge for me. And I'll check in throughout the month. I said, this will be a daily thing for the month of November. I'll sort of check in and talk about patience for me and where I am and, where I lost it, because I got to work on it. I've got to get better. And, you know, to anyone watching, you know, my videos are your videos. I hope that my videos can help you reflect inward and think about, you know, what it is. If there's something that I've said that connects with you, then absolutely take some introspective time and think about, you know, how it is that you're being and what an example you're being to your kids and your family and the people, you know, around you. We are in a society that is currently about immediate gratification, and I'm working on that with my daughter. And like, you're not going to get everything immediately. Everything's not going to. You have to learn patience. And while I've gotten through that immediate gratification, pretty much, my momentary patience of like, let's get it done, let's hurry, I've got this, I've got, you know, I'm so controlled by the clock. And I have clocks everywhere. A clock here, a clock there, a clock there, a clock there, a clock there. There's several clocks upstairs in the hallway. But like, I don't want to say I'm gonna like cover all my clocks, but I gotta learn how to chill the out.
Be patient. It matters. See you tomorrow.